Hello everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about another game that hasn't really particularly aged well. What is this game? Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Now, Zelda came out and people thought it was big and stuff, even though technically it wasn't, original. There were games that did the same thing before Zelda came out, but of course nobody cares about them because they weren't made by Nintendo. But either way, Zelda hasn't aged that well. What is Zelda? Basically, it's a game where you just run through, mash the A button or two, whack enemies, kaboom, you beat the game, you rescue Zelda, even though Link doesn't even want to screw Zelda at all, which is like Ash and Misty. Why do they even have him if Ash is going to be asexual anyway? Anyways, let's talk about the actual gameplay itself. The gameplay is basically you pick a name, which doesn't do much. You run around, whack monsters, collect items, kaboom. Not much fun to it. And you know what? That's really all the game is. But people try to say this is one of the best Super Nintendo games. If this was one of the best Super Nintendo games, the Super Nintendo is a crappy system. And Commodore and Atari should have killed it off with their STs. But then again, people are stupid and they'd rather buy consoles just because their PC's a piece of garbage and can't run freaking Half-Life 1 or Deus Ex. But that's another story. I went off topic. Back to the gameplay. There's so little to the gameplay, it's just not fun at all. You just run around, whack enemies, collect items. There's seriously not much to it. The plot. Basically, Zelda gets kidnapped, and you gotta walk around with a little bitch and a little bitch-ass sword going, ha, 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 ha. Okay, seriously. I made that Chad Warden reference because, that's really all the game is. You just run around whacking enemies, and it's not that good. The graphics look like your generic Super Nintendo game. Nothing really pushing the limit of the system. Nothing really impressive. Just your usual that. And why does the screen all of a sudden scroll? Why can't it? I know they're trying to keep tradition, but they might as well make it so it doesn't have to do that scroll. If they can do it all through those big areas without having to go through a big screen scroll. I can't tell if it's to do load times or what, but then again, cartridges shouldn't have load times. They're called... Nintendo hyped up cartridges on the N64 for a reason. The music's not that great, really. It's not really memorable. It's not that great, really. Come on. Nintendo music was never really that great. The Pokemon series doesn't count. That's a second-party game. That's a second-party game, not a first-party game. Game Freak made it. They're not owned by Nintendo, so yeah. Doesn't help that the graphics are okay-ish, but they also seem to be kind of bland. It's got that generic Super Nintendo graphics style. Yeah. And people are saying this was one of the best Super Nintendo games. Super Nintendo really sucked then because, come on, the Sega Genesis had a faster processor, and the Atari ST and Amiga, do I even need to get started on those? Those were computers. Computers will always be better than consoles. Computers are more powerful, and they're going to have better games, usually. Seriously. The Super Nintendo wasn't really that great of a system. It's not that great of a system. Seriously, go if you're really into retro gaming and stuff. There are better systems than the Super Nintendo, but of course, then again, retro gaming wasn't that great in the first place. It's just a lot of games haven't aged well. That is all. Don't buy this game, or don't buy it either on the Super Nintendo or on the 5 million re-releases Nintendo did. They've done 3 of this game so far. They've done 6 of Ocarina of Time. And yeah, they're just gonna milk this. Because, honestly, you fanboys are just going to buy it. So don't buy this game because you your wallet speaks louder than words. That is all. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.